Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone and open the Old Bridge Township meeting June 18th, 2018. Please stand for a Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing for a moment of silence and for a prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A moment of silence. Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes, as it's customary in these chambers, we like to take a moment of silence to remember those who are defending our freedoms abroad and in the United States, and for those who made the ultimate sacrifice, and also for our first responders. Also tonight, with a heavy heart, I would appreciate a moment of silence as we reflect on the tragic loss of life this past weekend of Zach and Jude Antonese. They were father and son. They died in a horrific traffic accident on Friday night. And for those who knew them, they were the best people in the world, where they contributed so much to the community. And everyone who knew Zach was a student that graduated from Old Bridge High School, and he had a very bright future ahead of him. In major leagues of baseball, he was just being scouted for them. So he had a very bright future. But more than that, he was a kind individual, and he was very intelligent. And as he went along that journey to become a major league player, his father was right there with him all the time, his biggest fan and supporter. So I ask tonight, when you think of this family, you think of the wife and mother, Natalie, the daughter and the sisters, Sabrina and Ashley, and please keep them in your heart and prayers. Thank you.
A moment of silence, please. The prayer, Mr. Pischetti.
Dear Lord, bless thy servants in the ministry of public affairs who serve thee in this chamber. Give them quiet minds and hearts that they may hear thy voice. Help them to know when to speak, when to be silent. Give them strength to oppose the wrong and uphold the right, and grant that they have a good conscience and soul at peace with thee and with one another. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated.
Also tonight at Lombardi Field, there is a vigil at 8 o'clock for Jude and Zach, for those who would like to attend. I wish I could be there. Thank you.
This meeting is being held in conformance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice has been given to the newspaper, and notice of the meeting has been posted in public places. Next open public meeting of the council will be held on Monday, July 9th, 2018, at 7:30 p.m. Mrs. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Here.
Dr. Greenberg.
Here.
Mr. Merwin.
Here.
Mr. Murphy.
Here.
Mr. Pischetti.
Here.
Mr. Rizzoli.
Here.
Mrs. Walker.
Here.
President Sohar.
Here.
9 present.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to start now with presentations. Mayor Henry.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. As Dr. Greenberg said, it was a sad weekend over the town. We also lost another resident of Old Bridge, lost their life in a motorcycle accident on the streets of Perth Amboy. So we lost another father. It was just a tragic weekend filled with tragedy, especially on Father's Day. So I thank everyone in the community who has offered their prayers and our thoughts, and the family is with our thoughts and prayers. So I thank you. But tonight I have an opportunity to make 2 promotions. I stood before council and I stood before the public many times as a mayor, making new officers, and it's always a special, for me, an honor and a privilege to promote officers that have been in this department, have served the residents of Old Bridge, and now they deserve this promotion. So I would ask, Stella, you're here. Thank you, Stella. We're going to swear him in. Our first officer tonight is Kurt Pines. Kurt. Also joining us tonight is Acting Chief Joe Mandola. Thank you. Thank you, Chief. I'll read Kurt's bio. Kurt Pine's law enforcement career began when he became a special law enforcement officer for the Seaside Heights Police Department. Upon his graduation from the Ocean County Police Academy, where he graduated with high honors, Kurt became a patrol officer with the Stafford Township Police Department before coming to Old Bridge. He took the oath of office to become an officer with the Old Bridge Police Department on April 11, 1994. Kurt holds a bachelor's degree in political science from Thomas Edison State College and a Master of Arts degree in human resources, training and development from Seton Hall University. Throughout his 24 years with the department, Kurt has served in many capacities: a patrol officer, a special operations officer, a school resource officer, a field training officer, as well as a patrol coordinator in the Field Training Officers Program. He has also served as a domestic violence instructor and has the domestic violence liaison to the county. Kurt has also been an integral part of the PBA, where he has served on the executive board, and with the FOP, where he serves as a state trustee. Over the years, Kurt has been a recipient of the department's Life-Saving Award and has received many departmental awards, as well as letters of appreciation from residents for his service. Kurt was sworn in as sergeant with the department on June 1st, 2010. On June 1st, 2018, he was appointed an acting lieutenant, and tonight it is my pleasure to promote acting lieutenant Kurt Pines to the rank of lieutenant within the Old Bridge Police Department.
I, and your name,
I, Kurt Pines,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same and to the governments
to the same and to the governments
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of the office of lieutenant
all the duties of the office of lieutenant
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Next up, I would ask Richard Mustachio, please come forward. Prior to becoming an officer with the Old Bridge Township Police Department, Richard Mustachio was a military police officer with the United States Air Force from 1995 to 2003. He served as a staff sergeant and is a veteran of Operation Southern Watch and Enduring Freedom. In 2000, Richard became a member of the Middlesex County Sheriff's Department. He attended the Somerset County Police Academy, where he graduated as the top overall recruit. On January 19, 2001, Richard took the oath of office with the Old Bridge Police Department. Since that time, he has served as a patrol officer in the patrol division, as a school resource officer. Richard also serves the department as field training officer. In addition to his role with the department since 2011, Rich has been serving as a member of the Middlesex County Special Operations Response Team. He has received numerous awards and letters of appreciation throughout his career for his commitment to our community. Joining Richard tonight for his promotion are his wife Robin and his children, Nicholas and Ariana. At this time, it is my pleasure to promote Acting Sergeant Richard Mustachio to the rank of Sergeant within the Old Bridge Police Department.
His son is a cookie cutter. He's just like him.
Hatfield,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support the Constitution of the United States
to support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same and to the governments
to the same and to the government
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of the office of sergeant
all the duties of the office of sergeant
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
How you doing? How you doing, Rizzo? Your name might call. I haven't got any calls for you this week. All about my calls.
Yep. Okay, thank you, everyone. Moving on, we have another presentation by Mayor Henry.
Thank you, Wen, and again, good evening. We had history made in Old Bridge last week. Our high school boys volleyball team finished first. First in the state of New Jersey.
Yes.
And I'm going to ask the coach to please step forward. Andrew Hopman, please. Coach is going to say a few words on what the dedication, the commitment that this team has made and has served Old Bridge well, gave Old Bridge some frontline good publicity that we can always use, and we're very proud of this team. Coach, you did a good job with these, a great job. They're going to remember you for the rest of their lives. Take it away.
Thank you, Mayor Henry. So we made Old Bridge history. We were the first team at Old Bridge High School to win a Tournament of Champions state championship. What that means was each section from New Jersey that won their state championship in each section played an overall tournament for an overall state championship. So we finished the #1 team in the state as an overall state champion. To say I'm extremely proud of this team would be an understatement. You could only imagine their dedication and hard work, but besides that, they're all extremely smart. They're scholar athletes. They take the athlete and the scholar part of being a scholar athlete equally dedicated to both. A lot of them are going on to college. Actually, they're all going on to college, but some of them are going on to play volleyball. Some of them are going on to just study in universities. They're all going to do well because they understand what it takes to be successful in life. All right.
We have recognition certificates. We're going to start off with the leadership. Unfortunately, guys, I just noticed a big typo on these, and I signed them this afternoon, and I just noted some, I don't know if it's premonition, but they got us in the wrong high school. And my secretary is going to pay for it tomorrow. So we will call you up here or recognize you, and then we will take these certificates back, and we will make sure that you are in the right high school. Even without my glasses, I could see that. So anyway, first is the coach, Andrew Hopman, coach, Old Bridge High School boys volleyball team, the 2018 New Jersey State Champions, in recognition of your success at Old Bridge High School, Thursday, June 7th, 2018. Coach, congratulations.
Thank you. Just right here.
You can't make it up.
Trying to point out the positives.
Call him up, coach. Make him run some laps, coach.
Coach Rich Porter.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Coach Tim Gottfried.
Congratulations, man. Good job, my friend.
Randall Anderson. I bet he wasn't late for the prom. No, his date was Lori Hernandez.
Maybe he didn't come back.
Elon Dorfman. He's gonna hold on to them.
We're not holding on. We're not getting at him.
Stephen Hopman. Andy Patel. Nick Shaw. Mike Shaw. Andrew Zhao. Justin Toohey. Rohil Patel. Bob Pulowski. Josh DeWitt. Phillips Isaac. Joe Cantone. Logan Albrecht. Harpreet Singh. Antonio Rocchio. Dehal Patel.
Thank you, guys. Making Old Bridge proud. Thank you so much. Great job.
Thank you all very much.
May I say, Chair?
Okay. All right.
Mary,
Yes,
I
go
want to say something
What, honey?
while
Go
they're
ahead.
here.
What, you want to say something to
I want
them?
to say to the good side.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Go ahead, John.
I just want to say something. It's a big accomplishment. I don't think you people realize, we've had state champs before in Old Bridge in groups, like Group 1 or Group 2, or we're always Group 4, so we're Group 4. But you're talking 60 years. They are not a group champ, they are state champs. That's a very big thing.
That's why we said, woo. Yeah.
And not to take anything away from them, but this has been a big year for Old Bridge. For the first time ever, we had somebody in any sport put into a major league, NFL, anything, baseball. It was Minkoff Fitzpatrick was drafted in the first round. That was also a big thing. So I think Old Bridge is making a good turn for the best. And congratulations.
Congratulations. Have a great evening. All right, we're all set now, Mayor? Okay.
Let's see that picture.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Sorry, almost forgot one more thing.
Oh, no, it's okay.
So, this is a team picture, okay, our accomplishments of the year, signed by the whole team.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
Very nice. That is very nice. Very thoughtful.
Matt, maybe we should take a picture, so, with the picture, with Mayor. Because they were taking pictures, this way you could have had a picture with them. Want me to go tell them? Too late. Well, I guess, I guess he's embarrassed.
That was very thoughtful, very nice.
Hey, Brian, let's go, Brian.
All right. Next will be a presentation by our tax assessor, Brian Enright. Good evening, Brian.
Good evening, Madam President. Rest of the council? Oh, good. Or I'll just put it up.
Thank you, Council. We're here tonight with our tax assessor, Brian Enright. As you all know, Old Bridge has been ordered to do a reval within the next couple of years. We're starting at ground level here. There's some work that the township needs to do. I know there's a lot of questions maybe that people in town have and the council itself, as do I. We're not in a position right now. We really don't know a lot of the answers, but we are doing our due diligence and preparing the town for this reval. So Brian's going to make a brief presentation just to introduce everybody to what's going to be going on in town, what you as a council is going to be required. I think there's something on the agenda tonight where your council's going to have to take action as far as getting our tax maps upgraded. And that's going to be part of the process that the entire town will be going through over the next 2 to 3 years, Brian, if not longer. If not longer. So I said when Old Bridge sees a problem, we run towards it. We're not going to run away from it and put it off to where it gets costly and ineffective. And so, Brian, if you have some comments you'd like to make, obviously the council will have the opportunity to ask some questions. We might not have the answers, council. Thank you.
I agreed with the mayor and Mr. Shaw. It was a good time to come in for the first update because item C16 on the consent agenda is for approving the money for the first round of tax map revisions. So from an assessor perspective, there's 12 steps, things that have to happen before the Director of Division of Taxation will approve a contract. So that's before we do any work, before we go out to bid, before we hire a firm. So the first 4 steps are, I send every data file that I have for all, we have 20-something thousand properties, just a little over 20,000. I send the entire data file to Trenton. The engineer sends our entire tax map, the actual paper tax maps, has nothing to do with the GIS system, to Trenton. So it takes months for Trenton to review it. The first round that we got back, we had I think just shy of 6,000 mismatches between my data and the actual lines on the tax map. It doesn't mean properties are in the wrong place, it just means we haven't had a division approval in quite some time, so now they might want qualifiers written on the map and this line, dotted line removed. It's a technical process that they go through. So my office had to go through all of the changes to decide which ones I can take care of and which ones would have to be in engineering work. So in my office, we went through all 6,000, or it was just shy of 6,000. So I kept about 3,200. So we had to go to each property individually, figure out what was wrong, put different data in different fields. The state is constantly changing the requirements of what a field can say. I'm sure all of you have looked at some sort of data online, so you see a lot of numbers and letters, and if they were wrong from 30 years ago, they had to be corrected. So we have, the assessor's office, we've finished our first round of about 3,200 changes. And C16 on the consent agenda is to approve the funds, so the engineers can complete their map work. Then we go for a second submission. If it passes, great, we can go to the next step, which is drafting the specs to go out to bid. But we can't do anything until this process is done. So hopefully it gets done the first round. I've been doing this a long time. It's unusual to get everything right the first time. The state always finds something else that they missed or they changed their mind. There's not a lot of people in the tax map division handling the entire state. So just thought it would be a good time. That's really all I have right now. We don't have any extra steps that we've taken. That's just where we're at. So that's my goal, is to get final approval by the director. That's tax maps are good, so then we can all proceed.
If I may, I think that it's important that everybody recognize that, this process is going throughout the state. Old Bridge is not totally unique. Every county is facing these things, and many towns. And in Middlesex County, fortunately, unfortunately, we are the first one in a long time that's been ordered. The state has decided that they want, the property records, property values being updated for all the properties, and that's what this is about, putting a fair value on the property. So, it's not something that we have wanted to do it, but it's something that has been ordered, and we are required to do it. So that's the process going on. We had done GIS map. Anybody wants to see our map, tax map, parcel map, and various other information, our website, gis.oldbridge.com, provides that information. So that first round was done. Many towns has even more data. So, Brian explained the steps. There's more steps going to be coming down. If you have any questions, we can, answer any question you may have now. Yep. Okay.
Thank you, council.
Thank you very much, Brian. Thank you very much. Okay. Next will be approval of minutes of previous meeting. Combined meetings, minutes, May 7, 2018.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes, but I abstain on the executive.
All right,
This
this
is
is only
first
for the
portion.
combined,
Right.
okay? All right. Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Peschitti? Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes.
Next is executive session minutes, May 7th, 2018.
Move it.
Second. Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mrs. Walker.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Mr. Merwin?
No, no participation.
You're,
Abstain or no?
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Peschitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes. Combined.
8 yes,
Sorry.
1 no participation.
Combined meeting minutes, April 23rd, 2018.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Mr. Merwin?
Yes,
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Peschitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes.
Executive session minutes, April 23rd, 2018.
Move it. Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mrs. Walker.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg? Mr. Merwin?
no participation.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Peschitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no participation.
Bill list, Mrs. Walker.
Accounts payable, June 18, 2018, $11,898,426.29.
Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Move,
I seconded.
yeah, moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
Payroll, May 25th, 2018, $948,055.19.
Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mrs. Walker.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
Payroll overtime, May 25th, 2018, $37,226.60.
Mr. Shaw, do we have a breakup?
And, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
All right. As Councilwoman Walker indicated, the payroll for May 25th overtime was $37,226.60. There is no anomaly in or uptick in other department. For police department, the total overtime for sworn officer was $26,360.63. When you deduct for grants, $2,152.55, and deduct for ETO of $9,571.80. The net overtime for the police department for that period, this period, is $14,636.28, representing 462.50 men and women hours. We have 2 patrolmen injured on duty. That's my report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shaw. Do I have a motion for the overtime?
I'll move it.
Second.
Okay. And second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
Payroll, June 8th, 2018, $1,011,299.62.
Do I have a motion? Move it.
Second.
Moved by myself, second by Mrs. Walker.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty? Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
Payroll overtime, June 8th, 2018, $48,271.62.
Mr. Shaw, could we have a breakout?
Thank you. Again, as Councilwoman Walker indicated, the payroll for June 8 pay period total was $48,271.62. During this pay period, we have a retroactive pay for non-union employees, so some of the overtime related to that, retroactive pay. We also had holiday weekends, and we had a Memorial Day parade coverage. For the police department, the total overtime was $39,436.74. Deduct grant of $5,197.88. Deduct ETO, $11,011.80. The net overtime for the period was $23,227.06, representing 641.50 men and women hours. And we have 2 patrolmen injured on duty in that period too. That concludes the report.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Do I have a motion for the overtime?
I'll move it.
Second.
Mrs. Walker and Mr. Rizzoli.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes,
President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes.
that concludes the bill list.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Walker. Public hearing and ordinances for second reading. H1, liquor licenses, renewing plenary retail consumption license number 1209-33-036-008, Virages Incorporated, trading as Old Bridge Bar and Liquors. Good evening. Come forward, please.
Okay. The conditions on your license are to install and maintain a surveillance system which covers the interior of the bar and also covers the front and rear exit. And number 2, the system will need to have the capacity to retain these images for 7 days. Do you agree to your conditions?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, I will now open it to the public. Does anyone in the public wish to be heard? Seeing no hands, I will close the public portion. And council, anyone have any questions or comments?
Where is this?
Route 34, right?
It's
Route 34.
242B, Route 34.
By 7-Eleven there, Dan? Okay. Anyone else have any questions? Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Rizzoli, second by Dr. Greenberg. Roll call?
Mr. Brown, Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes,
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes,
President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Next is H2, and that's liquor license renewing plenary retail consumption license number 1209-33-035-007, Chi-Chi 35 Corporation, trading as Diamond Girls. Good evening.
Good evening. Mark Kazaz on behalf of Chi-Chi 35, trading as Diamond Girls.
Okay. All right.
Mrs. Ward?
Sir, your conditions on your license are, on Friday and Saturdays from 6 p.m. to closing, the licensee shall have someone on duty at the door to check in identification. Number 2, the parking lots to be patrolled from 9 p.m. to closing to ensure that people are not gathering. And number 3, utilization of a video surveillance system to record the parking lot and have the capacity to store images and video for 7 days. Do you adhere to those conditions?
My client
Thank
does,
you.
yes.
Okay, I'd like to now open it up to the public. Anyone like to speak on this? Seeing no hands, I will close the public portion, go to council. Council, any questions or comments?
Move it.
Merwin?
Okay, I have a motion
second.
and a second. Mr. Merwin and Mr. Murphy.
Okay, Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes,
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
yes,
President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Have a good evening.
Madam Chairperson, just,
Yes.
I should have asked it on the first one. These conditions, these are previous conditions that are just being
Yes,
renewed?
they're existing. They're renewed the same every year.
All right.
You're welcome. H3, liquor license renewing plenary retail consumption license number 1209-019-007, Sarthi Corporation, trading as Town Square Wine and Liquor and Bar. Is anyone here this evening from that establishment?
Oh, God.
Seeing no one, then we will make a motion to table.
Table. Motion.
Okay. So motion by Mr. Rizzoli, second by Mr. Merwin.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg? Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
yes,
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
yes,
President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes to table. Thank you.
Okay, H4, liquor license renewing plenary retail consumption license number 1209-33-009-002, Red Zebra LLC.
Okay. Okay. All right. Your Your conditions are continued active use of the digital surveillance system from inside the bar and the exterior parking lots, and deferred maintenance as outlined by the Health Department must be abated and must abide by all regulations of Chapter 24, sanitation in retail food establishments and food and beverage vending machines dated January 2nd, 2007.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we continue, the attorney had a question. Mr. Rizzoli? Mr. Rizzelli?
Madam Clerk, the resolution indicates it's license ending in 003.
I believe it should be 3,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, so then it's, okay, so it's license number 1209-33-019, -009-003. Okay.
And you will adhere to these conditions, correct? Yes. Okay.
Okay, I will now open it to the public. Is there anyone here in the public that would like to be heard? Seeing no hands, I will close the public portion and now open it to the council. Any questions or comments?
Okay, a motion?
Okay, Mr. Pasquini?
Yeah, is this like a go-go bar? Is that what it is?
It's a gentleman's club, yes.
Gentlemen's club. Well, a gentlemen's club normally is nude dancing, right?
No.
No?
Nude dancing, you mean?
Nude
No.
dancing?
No. Gentleman's club means a little bit, the same thing as a go-go bar, but you can go in, got some rules and regulations. A little bit high end.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else from the council? Do we have a motion?
Move it.
No second?
Do we have a second?
Oh, no. Oh,
Second.
you want me to second it? Oh, sorry, I'll second it, sorry.
Okay. Mrs. Brown seconded, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
No.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Okay.
Liquor license, H5, liquor license renewing plenary retail consumption license number 1209-33-004-002, Sideline Lounge Incorporated, trading as Club 516. Good evening.
Okay, all right, sir, and your conditions on your license are on Fridays and Saturdays from 6 PM to closing, the licensee will have someone on duty at the door to check ID. The second one, that the parking lot be patrolled to make sure that people are not gathering. Will you
Yes.
adhere to these?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, I will now open it to the public. Is anyone in the public wish to be heard? Seeing no hands, I'll close the public portion and open it to council. Anyone from council, comments, questions? Do we have a motion?
Move it.
Sir.
I'll second it.
Was that Mr. Merwin or Mr. Murphy?
Merwin.
Mr. Merwin?
Okay, and Mrs. Walker?
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg? Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
No.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no.
Good
Okay,
evening.
thank you very
Have a
much.
nice
Thank you
evening.
so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ordinances for second reading. Ordinance number 1, number 2018-15, ordinance of the Township of Old Bridge, amending the code of the Township of Old Bridge by adding a new chapter 320 entitled Outdoor Dining.
Make a motion?
Second.
Would we have anyone from the public who wishes to come up and speak? Seeing no hands, we'll close the public portion. Council, any comments? And it was moved by
Mr. Pescitti.
Mr. Pescitti. Okay, second by
Mr. Rizzoli?
I'll second it.
Greenberg.
Oh, Dr. Greenberg.
You can have it.
Okay, Mrs. Brown? Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes.
Preliminary public comments to council, subject to the following conditions and restrictions. Wait.
You missed
Oh,
one.
wait. Oh, I'm sorry.
are we?
I'm sorry. Ordinance number 2, 2018-16.
A point of
amending-
order.
Yes.
Yes, that's my ordinance, and I wrote an amendment to it. I met with Mr. Roselli last week, and I passed it out to everybody. I just want to make sure everybody has a copy.
Right. Yes, I believe everyone does, correct? Every council person has one? Okay. All right, so are we good to go?
Okay, the reason for the change was,
John, can I read it into the record first? Yeah, can I read it into the record first? All right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just let me, thank you. Okay. So it's number 2018-16, amending Chapter 5, Article 3, Section 5-25 of the Code of the Township of Old Bridge. Okay, was there anyone in the public that had any comments?
You need a motion.
And do we have a motion?
I think he wants to offer an
okay,
amendment first.
at the,
John?
at the last meeting, Councilman Piscitty seemed to have a problem with the ordinance, the way it was written, and I really can't hear him from down here. So I watched it on television, and I understood what he was talking about. So what I did a little investigation. I went into the code book for the town, and I noticed in Section B that it really wasn't complete. They left something out, and you'll see what is added there. And then I also went into Title 40 and 40A in the municipal counties book, and I found out that only the council can bring up any ordinance. So those are why I made those two changes, and I'd like to make a motion on that.
Second.
Oh, just go ahead.
Just so it's clear,
let him-
the proposed amendments, and there are two of them, appear in paragraph B, which is highlighted, that sentence, and then in paragraph C, the highlighted section where that's a strike through from the original amendment. So because these proposed amendments would substantially change the intent of the original ordinance, what first has to happen is council has to have a vote on the amendments. If the amendments are passed, then you would have to continue the public hearing until the next meeting because of the change. If the amendments do not pass, then you can have a vote on the underlying ordinance as drafted.
So is everyone clear on that, all council members, that if the amendments are approved, we would have to then go and advertise again and continue this, rather than voting on it tonight?
So this is a vote on the amendments.
Right, so this will be a vote on the amendments, okay? So let's do that first.
First and second.
Okay, do we have a motion for those amendments? John? Okay, so John's moving it, and Dave is seconding it? Okay. So there we go, Mr. Murphy and Mr. Merwin.
Okay. Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
No.
Dr. Greenberg?
No.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
No.
President Soha?
No.
5 yes, 4 no.
Okay, so that means that now we have to,
So the public hearing will be continued until the July 9th meeting,
right,
at which time the ordinance as amended would be for a public hearing and then up for adoption.
all right? Okay, thank you, everyone. Preliminary public comments to council, subject to the following conditions and restrictions. During the preliminary public portion of the meeting, any person may address the Township Council on any subject matters for a maximum period of 5 minutes. Any person desiring to speak during the preliminary public portion shall first sign a list maintained by the Township Clerk for such purpose. Comments during the preliminary public comment portion of the meeting shall not encompass second reading ordinances or any other matter for which comment or a public hearing is to occur at the meeting.
Okay. Barbara York?
Good evening.
Evening. I'm the president of the Old Bridge Township School Crossing Guards. All our guards seem to be having problems with the fact that for several years the curbs have not been repainted yellow, and we're getting a lot of flack from parents who park illegally, and that's a state law. This afternoon, I was privy to something that happened over at Southwood School, and I really felt sorry for the guard. This woman approached us. She was asked to move her car. She was blocking a driveway. She came up and she used the F word, the C word, calling the school guard that. She dropped her kid off, then came back, and she was holding an infant in her arms. And she said to the school guard, if I didn't have this infant in my arms, I would take care of you. This is just part of the abuse the school guards have to take, and nothing seems to be done about it. They're there for the safety of the children and the parents when they park illegally. I would request that the township have those curbs repainted yellow, which haven't been done in years, and it would facilitate our guards telling them to move their cars. Years ago, it was done by signs and lines. We don't have a signs and lines department now, so I guess it would be relegated to the road department. But I would really and sincerely like to see it done. And one of the school cops took the license plate number of this woman. I would like to see her chastised for what she did. I was there as a witness, and a young gentleman stepped between them. She almost followed her right out into the middle of the road. Now, this is uncalled for, and it happens quite frequently. So I wish something would be done to make an example of these people, because they're getting out of hand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Richard Green?
Good evening.
I've got a lot to say, so I think I'll be back. By the way, I'm a tax commissioner from Middlesex County, and I've seen Brian in action. He does a great job. And despite what George Gow and Bobby Thompson claimed and tried to put me on, I had nothing to do with Old Bridge's reevaluation. Every town in the county of Middlesex must have reevaluation at some time. So let's put that to rest. I want to talk about, in the Republican organization, local, the financial corruption, the lies, the pattern of intentionally destroying the reputation, integrity, livelihood of individuals that don't agree with the fellow Republicans. And I'll start with an issue I had with Councilman Biscetti. Last year, when I was on the council, and he wasn't, he came up here and he said, Councilman Green, you're a liar. Why did he say that? He said, because I mentioned that his son, Tony, was appointed to the MUA. Well, I know his family, and I made a mistake. It wasn't Tony and Michael, it was Tony. So this Tony couldn't come up here and say, Rich, you made a mistake. It was my son, Tony, who was hired, not Michael. That was deception at his best. I started a PAC in 2005. I funded it with my own money. And I asked a good friend of mine, Joe Aragona, to be the chairperson. And I asked another individual to be the treasurer. I could have been the treasurer. I got a determination from ELECT, the New Jersey Election Enforcement Committee, saying that I could definitely be involved in the PAC as long as I wasn't the chairperson. My friend was. And this is what the PAC was formed for. This is the copy of the application. The pact was named Old Bridge Township Concerned Residents. And what's that? Time is up. 5 minutes? All the way back. It was, let me just finish this portion. It was formed,
5 minutes.
Already?
Did it go off the buzzer? There it is.
the purpose of it was to,
Time is up. Unfortunately, the
Okay,
5
we're back.
minutes is up.
I got a lot here. And I tell you what, I don't care if some people bloviate as to what I say, because I say the truth. And I could,
You can come back if you like, Mr. Green, absolutely.
I will be back.
Okay. Who else signed up?
That's the first name? Ward Biondi?
Yeah.
Who cares? I don't know who I left in.
Good evening, Ward. How are you
Evening.
tonight?
Okay, appreciate the fact that Mr. Mayor and Councilman Rizzoli allowed me to speak tonight. What I'm talking about is, well, first of all, been dealing with some accessibility issues in Old Bridge. I'm the person who was largely responsible for that light on Route 9 and Throckmorton Lane becoming audible, so that a blind person or even some sighted people can cross that street easily and safely. And now I've got another project in mind, and I'm trying to get something done on that. And that is, I live in the Rotary housing, the Old Bridge housing on 100 Ticetown Road, and there is a bus stop across the street from that building, and that bus stop is totally inaccessible for anybody with visual problem, and it's not very safe even for people who don't have a visual problem, because it is directly across from the middle of the driveway of the Old Bridge housing building, and it's on a slab. There's a bus shelter on a slab with no sidewalk on either side of it. And Ticetown Road is not safe to walk on. There's not even hardly a shoulder there. It's not a very good spot. So I talked to Mayor Henry several months ago, and I sent him an email on it. And I talked to Ms. Shapiro, and I talked to Councilman Roselli. And what I'm trying to get done is to have some means of accessibility. And when I first started this, I thought it would be just as simple as a crosswalk, but there may be more necessary things to be done with it, such as a light or whatever, because now I found out there's been places on Ticetown Road where the road curves and you don't see the crosswalk till you're almost on top of it. So what I'm requesting is an appointment or a meeting between myself and Councilman Roselli and Nicole Shapiro and a gentleman named Bob Baker from the New Jersey Commission for the Blind and Visually Impaired. He is an orientation and mobility instructor. And the reason I want to include him and the reason I want to get this meeting set up is so that we can study how feasible this is, and also so that a project doesn't go forward and get done and then all of a sudden for some reason I can't use it. We may need to have some type of an audible signal connected with this light, because your side streets on Ticetown Road don't have enough traffic so that you can hear when the light is changing. And again, if the cars stop because the light, let's say, turned red on Ticetown Road, you don't have any way of knowing how long when that cycle began, because you could have very few cars on Ticetown Road, like on a Sunday morning or something like that, and you could end up, or a Saturday morning, and you could end up only having like 10 seconds to get across the road and not even realize it. So I wanted to sit down with everyone that I just mentioned and see if this is even feasible. And I have all of the contact information for Mr. Baker, and I can give anybody my contact information, and if we could get this set up so that we could get this project started and see if it's even feasible to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it on the public.
I will now close the public portion. I will now close the public portion, and we will now go to council member comments. I'll start on my left. Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes, I just wanted to comment on the 100 Tags Town. Myself and Nicole have been working on it for some time. I know we're trying to get, checking into funding and everything to get that traffic light put in. I'm sure you could have some more information on that.
Councilman Rizzoli is correct. He had reached out to me, so did Mr. Biondi, on potentially shoring up the pedestrian safety along the frontage of 100 Ticetown Road. What I had suggested was, instead of doing a mid-block crossing at the intersection of Ticetown Road and his development, moving that bus stop shelter from that location west at the intersection of Wisdom Way and Ticetown Road and Valleyville Drive. That would allow, a true four-way intersection, and then there would be more visibility. The problem is, at that location, is people travel off of Route 9 coming at a higher speed, coming off of Ticetown Road from Route 9 at a higher speed. About 2005, 2006, there was a traffic study done at that intersection. It was when it went from a high school to a grammar school. So the numbers were lower. It was on the cusp of meeting a traffic signal warrant analysis. We're looking to revisit that. So on tonight's consent agenda, I was working with Councilman Rizzoli to then retain a traffic engineer to revisit and see if a traffic signal is warranted at that intersection. And if so, that would then, along with an audible signal for the crossing, would then solve our concerns for Mr. Biondi, as well as the school children that travel to the school and the other residents that travel, pedestrian traffic that travel there, and the vehicular traffic that travels at that intersection. So that's on tonight at C12, and that's to award professional services contract to CME Associates for the traffic study at that intersection.
Thank you, Mr. Shapiro.
Thank you for your help. Appreciate it.
Anyone else on my left for comments? Okay. Mr. Merwin?
Yes. Last week, I had the opportunity to attend Mrs. New Jersey Senior America pageant down in Atlantic City with a group of seniors from the Silver Lining Group. And our very own Dancing Divas and Dudes were the hit of the show. They were fantastic. The people loved them, and they made Old Bridge proud. And I was quite glad that I got to see it. And one of the complaints is the steps on the senior buses. I don't know if they've made complaints to the group or not, but I know they are kind of high, which prohibits a lot of the older citizens from utilizing them to go to the store. So maybe in the future, or if there's something we can do now, we do it. But in the future, when we're speccing the buses out, maybe that's kept in mind. Since January, I've asked for a committee to review our garbage collection in Old Bridge. Perhaps consolidating it, which may bring cheaper rates to our residents. Maybe we could even add bulk pickup. But that's 6 months now. I'm still waiting. And
See, I thought we were on public comment.
Council comments. Oh,
okay.
Council comments, yeah.
All right. And then since January, I've been asking for an ESIP report. And we haven't had that yet. And it's 6 months into our thing, and I think it's time that we've gotten brought up to date on the ESIP program.
Are you through, Mr. Merwin? or-
I'm done now, yes.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else on this side? Mr. Cahill?
Yeah, so just briefly, we recognize the men's volleyball team at Old Bridge, which is terrific. Mr. Murphy referenced Minka Fitzpatrick, who got drafted by the Dolphins at Old Bridge. We also have somebody else who was drafted to in the major leagues, a kid by the name of Billy Lane Jr. He pitched for Seton Hall. I actually met him and his parents through Cheesequake Baseball when I was on the executive committee there. So he was drafted by the Texas Rangers in the 11th round. I think he's in the single A rookie kind of scenario right now. But just to get drafted, that's a pretty big deal. And 11th round's pretty good in baseball. I mean, there's people playing right now that are drafted in the 20th, 24th round. So good luck to him. And I just wanted to give a shout out to another Old Bridge resident making us proud.
Thank you very much. Anyone else on this side? How about on my right? Dr. Greenberg, Bella?
Yes. About a month ago, there was another accident on Route 34 and Amboyd Road. It involved a young man on a motorcycle, and he was heading south on, heading east on Route 34. And on Amboyd Road, a car went out, didn't see him, I guess, and cut him off and was going north. So I thank God that he's okay. He was injured. He was in the hospital with some bad trauma. But we've said it for years. We've talked about it for years, and I know things are going, hopefully to be changing, and I hope it will be soon before there is a fatality at that intersection. And it's very sad that we have to talk about that. I know tonight when Mr. Biondi came up, that we talked about a light there with Valley Vale and the school with the changing. There was a fatality there with someone who would walk in the morning. So it's been many years that we talked about this. And so as the town is growing and the population and people drive, more cars on the road, it's very sad when these incidents happen, but it's not for lack of us bringing it forward and trying to get it done. And what happens with 34, it's unfortunate. It's a state road, and we have to deal with them. But that's no excuse for someone to get injured or killed on these roads, and then things are changed. If we live here and we identify it, it would behoove the state to listen to the residents that see this day in and day out. So I look forward to that project getting done, and we're just very fortunate that the individual, sustained injuries and not a fatality. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Walker?
Yes, I want to also add to what Dr. Greenberg said about Amboy and 34. We've been fighting for a light there for about 15 years now, and it has gotten really bad.
Yep.
If anybody that lives in that area, it's impossible to pull out of Amboy Road. I see so many near misses. Maybe there weren't that many fatalities that they would warrant in light, but I've explained in the past that a lot of people avoid that intersection. They come down Disbrow, and Disbrow is getting very crowded now. People speed around that bend, and it's not wide enough to hold like 2 trucks at one time. Actually, the fire trucks are not even allowed to go down there because it's so dangerous. And I live in that area, so when I'm driving down there, a lot of cars, they come around, they almost hit me head on because everybody's always speeding. So they don't want to go to that intersection, so they're coming to Disbrow, and then they're coming to the intersection of Amboy, Disbrow, Lambertson. And as you know, there have been several fatalities at that intersection. So I don't know what the state wants, why they don't listen to us, because I feel if we realign the road the right way that it was supposed to be and put a light there, it would solve the problems of Disbrow Road and Amboy and 34. I don't know why we pay all these state taxes. They don't ever seem to give us anything back. And to me, that's the most important light we need right now in town.
Are you through? Okay, thank you. Anyone else on this side? Okay. All right, I'll just close the council comments by saying thank you to our Recreation Department head, Matt Mercuro. We had a tour of all the recreational facilities here in town last Saturday. There was a lot of new recreation board members, and he had a bus trip, took everyone, showed everyone what we do, how we do it, who's responsible for it, and it gives you a very good idea of what's going on in town, so that as we talk about new projects, you've been there and you've seen the, the parcels and what goes on. So thank you very much, Matt, for reaching out to all the board members. Very appreciated. Report of the township clerk.
None at this time, thank you.
Report of the township attorney.
Nothing new to report, Madam President.
Okay. Administrative report, Mr. Shaw.
Thank you, Council Presidents. The administrative report for June 18. Item number 1, 2018 Annual Road Resurfacing Program. Bids were received and opened in public on Friday, June 8, 2018 for resurfacing 25 roads within the town. 10 contractors submitted bids that range from $1,424,806.69 to $1,682,393.31. Award of this contract to Mako Inc. is for $1,428,806.69, included in tonight's consent agenda for approval by council. Funding for this project is through the Township Capital Bond Ordinance. Construction is anticipated to begin in summer of 2018. Item number 2, Pleasant Valley Road improvements. Bids were received and opened in public on Friday, June 8, 2018. 11 contractors submitted bids that range from $382,014.31 to $446,430.82. The New Jersey Department of Transportation has allocated a construction fund in the amount of $341,291 from fiscal year 2017 Municipal Aid Program. Order of this contract to Z Brothers Concrete Contractor for $382,014.31 is included in tonight's consent agenda for approval by council. Construction will begin in late summer for 2018. Item number 3, Public Service Electric and Gas Mount Mills Road Gas Project, Monroe Township. PSE&G will be installing a gas line in the Mounts Mill Road between Old Bridge, Englishtown Road, County Route 527, and Spotswood, Englishtown Road, County Route 613 in Monroe Township. This project will require temporary traffic detour through Old Bridge Township for an approximate duration of 3 weeks during the summer of 2018. Residents are invited to follow the township on Facebook and Twitter and check our website for project update. There's a resolution also on the agenda for you to approve as requested by the Monroe Township. Item number 4, Texas Road improvements. Woodhaven Village contractors are continuing with improvements of Texas Road between Marlborough Road and Murray Drive through mid-July 2018. Inclement weather and utility relocation have caused delays to the Texas Road improvement and will require work to continue through mid-July 2018 with intermittent closure along Texas Road from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Texas Road westbound will be closed daily from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. A minimum of 1 lane in one direction on Texas Road will be open at all of the times. Two-way traffic on Texas Road will be open during weekday events at Old Bridge Raceway Park. In addition, Texas Road will be open to emergency vehicles, school buses, and local residents. Residents are invited to follow the township on Facebook and Twitter and check our website for project updates. Item number 5, Hooked on Fishing, Not on Drugs. On June 9, 2018, the Municipal Alliance hosted a free fishing lesson at Chiswick Park between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. from 30 fourth grade students from Old Bridge Elementary School and 2 parochial schools. All 30 children were selected to artwork and slogan contests which illustrate why it is better to fish than to use drugs. Item number 6, New Jersey Clean Community Program. On June 11, 2018, Township received a check in the amount of $112,124 for the 2018 New Jersey Clean Community Program. New Jersey Clean Community is a comprehensive statewide litter abatement program that has served New Jersey residents for over 25 years. For additional information, residents should visit New Jersey Clean Community website at njclean.org. Item number 7, Mayor's Health and Wellness. As a part of Mayor's Health and Wellness Initiative for 2018, the Mayor Health and Wellness Council with the Old Bridge Culture Arts Committee has organized first annual park party, which is free event for the last day of school on Friday, June 22nd, 2018, from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Marinos Park. I understand weather is supposed to be great, so I hope everybody join. Item number 8, Mayor Office of Economic Development. On Thursday, June 28th, we're presenting our first Old Bridge Bridge to Business Expo at the Grand Marquis from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. This event is free admission to public. The Culture Arts Committee will be kicking off their first concert of the summer that evening, featuring local band Ready, Willing, and Able. All attendees of the full day's activities are encouraged to bring lawn chair. I'm sorry, that's mixed up. All the day's activity, yeah. Yeah. We do have a problem. Item number 9, Recreation and Camp Robin Summer Camp Program. The full day, 8-week summer camp begins on July 2nd, 2018 and ends on August 24. This program is currently full, but there is availability for the half-day camp. Half-day 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. summer camp begins on July 2nd and ends on August 3rd. Camp Robin Summer Camp 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. begins on July 2nd and ends on August 10th. Daily activity includes sports and arts and crafts, games, special events, and daily trips. For additional information and registration, please contact Township Recreation Department at 732-721-5600, extension 499, or visit Township website at oldbridge.com. Item number 10, 4th of July holidays. On July 4th, 2017, all municipal offices will be closed for business in observance of 4th of July holiday. Item number 11, Henry's Clean Team. On Saturday, July 7, 2018, Mayor Henry and volunteer from Old Bridge CERT, Rutgers LERA Club, Old Bridge High School, Varsity Soccer, Old Bridge Soccer League, Warriors, and the U9 Bulldogs will be cleaning up various roadways throughout the township. For additional information, residents should email recycling@oldbridge.com.
Yeah.
Item number 12, in addition to being available in the office, in addition to being available in the office on weekdays, recycling bins are also available at the recycling center on Saturday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Bins are $10 each, cash or checks only. Please see the recycling attendant at the booth for details. Item number 13, Old Bridge Food Bank Summer Collection. The Old Bridge Food Bank will continue to collect items during the summer months. Collection bins are located at the Municipal Administration Building, Old Bridge Public Library Building, Recreation Building, and Senior Center. For additional information on the food bank or list of needs items, residents should contact Old Bridge Food Bank at 732-721-5600, extension 6625, or visit us on web at oldbridge.com/foodbank.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shaw.
Sorry about one item.
That's all right.
It's okay. All right. Anyone have any comments or questions? I'll ask for a motion to accept.
Move it.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second
Second.
by Mrs. Walker.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Abstain.
Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
8 yes, 1 abstention.
Now for our consent agenda, I'd like to first open it up to the public and then ask for separations for council. Anyone from the public have any comments on the consent agenda items? Seeing no hands, I will close the public portion and now go to council. Council, is there anyone who has separations? Dr. Greenberg? Okay, let's start over here, my left.
Yeah, C2, C7, C10, C20, and C26.
Wait, C20, okay. What was the last one, Dave?
6, the last
What, David, the last one was 3-6?
2-6.
26, okay.
26.
C26, okay. Anyone else down here? Mr. Murphy?
C18, C28.
And then, okay, anyone else on this, on the left side here?
That's it.
Okay, now, how about on my right? Dr. Greenberg?
C10, was that said? I
Yes.
couldn't hear.
Have that.
All right, C10, I'll just make my comments with it, and then C23 and C25.
C23 and C25, okay. Anyone else on this side of the dais? Okay, seeing no hands, I'd like to ask for a motion to pass the balance of the consent agenda, please.
Second.
Can we,
Yes.
we didn't hear all the separations, so if I
Do you want me,
could
yeah,
repeat
yeah, I'll
that.
read them to you right now. Okay. It's C2 by Mr. Merwin, C7 by Mr. Merwin, C10 by Mr. Merwin, C18 by Mr. Murphy, C20, Mr. Merwin, C23, Dr. Greenberg Belli, C25, Dr. Greenberg Belli, C26, Mr. Merwin, C28, Mr. Murphy. Okay, so now I'd like a motion for the balance of the consent agenda, please.
Dr.
And we-
Greenberg moved it,
Yep, Dr. Greenberg,
and I
and,
seconded it.
yep,
Who seconded? Mrs. Walker. Mrs. Walker?
okay?
Dr. Greenberg and Mrs. Walker.
It'll be a little cooler outside.
Okay. On the balance, Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes,
9 yes on the balance.
okay, next will be C2, Mr. Merwin.
Yeah, just, is this for salary or programs or what?
It's combination of both salary and the programs. It's in our budget. The lines are included in our budget. It's already funded through our budget.
Okay, and this is does this have to do with what the hospital's paying for with the same thing, or?
The portion the hospital is paying is in addition to that. That also is incorporated in the budget, which allowed us to hire another, basically one full-time person. We really have 2 part-time person.
All right. Anybody else got any questions? If not, I'll move it.
Okay, seeing no other questions, then moved by Mr. Merwin. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes.
C7, Mr. Merwin.
The only question on this was, or the only change was that slight price increase? Is that why there's amending this resolution? Yes. That was
Yeah.
it?
Yes.
Was it? Okay. I mean, that's exactly what we approved the
Yes.
first time, right? Okay, that's it. I'll
So-
move it if nobody else has a question.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Merwin.
Second.
Pescitti.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes.
C10, Mr. Merwin.
All right, I see this is a $10,000 contract to Remington Vernick for engineering for the Tightstown Road resurfacing. But I also see we have, what, $1.8 million or 1.6, whatever it is, $1 million pavement project, and I don't see an engineer assigned to that. That's, so, we do that in-house, or?
No.
The design of Ticetown Road, which was a DOT local aid funded project, was designed in-house. C10 is for the inspection services. I just don't have enough personnel in our department to do that. Actually, Pleasant Valley Road and the roadway, the annual resurfacing contract that's on for tonight for award, both projects have been done in-house, design and bid out in-house. The inspection services will be on the next meeting. We have to award it before we put out the inspection services contract.
Okay, I just was wondering why we do them in-house and
Yeah,
then we're...
Ticetown Road, the construction for Ticetown Road was awarded at the last meeting. This is the inspection services for Ticetown Road.
Anyone else questions on this? Okay, I'll ask for a motion. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yes.
I would just like to make a comment about Ticetown Road, and I'm certainly glad, and all the residents that are living on that road, that we did get a grant for. It's from Valley Vale to Higgins. That's what I want to say. I live east of that, and the neighbors that are in our area have called me about Ticetown Road because there are 5 houses that are being built across the street. That was done in a creeping subdivision forum. And so that road has been torn up now for 2 years, where no money will come from the builder to remediate it at all. It will be patchwork. But not only that, the past week, and I understand, they have a right to build, the township through the zoning board, the planning board, they got their approvals. But the people that are living there, because they are a few, and I live there too, and I'm not saying anything, because obviously I'm a councilwoman, if I say it, brought it forward for me, but people have called me. The trash has not been collected from the residents there for over a week. It is summer, it is hot, and it is wrong that a garbage truck can't get down there. The police are on each end, so when they see the garbage truck, it could have been flagged through to the houses up to the point that they're working, and then flagged through from the other way. So now we are going to go on till 10 days where garbage is not being picked up because of that road construction. And I would advise to take a look to see what is going on down there. It's a cow path to begin with, so, you know, there's been damage in the area, but it's very upsetting when a builder goes ahead and does this work, and then there's no contribution from that builder based on the fact that it was a creeping subdivision, and that's how they got away with it. So, because if it was they went in for the 5, I'm sure there would have been a discussion, or I would have hoped there had been, from the planning board to remediate that road, at least back to the poor condition it was, not the poor condition it is now. They would have been satisfied with the potholes and the road torn up the way that it was. Now, when you ride there, it's awful. So, and, you know, that's just very unfair. And when they were building there, because it is a cow path, everyone was compromised because where the trucks would park. This was brought to the attention many times. This is not, and I want to make it very clear, it is not my complaint. It is the complaint of my neighbors. I'm just their voice because it would be foolish for me that I live there to speak on behalf of that road, because what would happen, that I'm advocating for a road in the town, and I just happen to live there, so I'm making it very clear. These complaints came from neighbors on that road. So 10 days in the heat, no garbage picked up, and the road's a disaster. So I just needed to bring that to the attention while we were talking about Ticetown Road, although they're all very happy along Ticetown Road that it is going to be, you know, that a grant is going to pay for it, and it's not going to any cost to the township, but from Valley Vale to Higgins. So it's been a rough 10 days in that area. Thank you.
Yes, Mrs. Walker?
Yeah, I just want to add, that is a mess on Ticetown Road. If anybody's been there, the builder has dug the road up on several occasions, and it's a mess. And it's a sin that he got away with the creeping subdivision, because otherwise he would have had to pay to repair the road. So now he's going to walk away making a lot of money, and we're going to be stuck on the backs of the taxpayers of Old Bridge to fix that road, because it's a mess.
Yes, I agree as well. That area definitely needs attention. And I really think if a builder accesses a road in any way, shape, or form, he should be responsible for repairing it and bringing it back.
Question to the administration.
Yes.
Or to the engineer. If what the council is saying is true, that it was a creeping subdivision, don't we have remedy to address that?
Unfortunately, the applicant was in front of the planning board. He had come with a subdivision at first. He waits 18 months. Legally, he's permitted to do that, and then he subdivides again. Legally, there's nothing I can do to stop him from doing that. But what I did do was go back to his first application, saw what he didn't do, added any stormwater management that would be required had it been a major development, and required him to do that. As far as the pavement goes, whether he was a major or a minor, I can only permit, or I could only require him to do improvements on the road that is not detriment to his development. I can't ask him to pave all of Ticetown Road from, let's say, Higgins to the counties, to our municipal boundary line. That's too much to ask for him. But what I can do is in the area where his utilities are being connected along the frontage of his property, I've requested him to restore half width of the roadway in front of his frontage of the property. And that's what I've done. Legally, that's what I could ask for. I could only do what I could legally ask for.
I would just like to comment. The half road in front of where his house is wasn't the area that was dug up the past week. It is not on the north side of the road that was dug up as well. So that's the problem. So if he did it just in the front of his 5 houses, but I'm saying there were potholes there originally. No one complained about them. They tolerated them. They understand the situation. There's just a few houses there. There's other priorities in town. They lived with it. Since the trucks have been back and forth, if you could see the size of the trucks that went in there for the past few years and tore up the road, it's not in the state. They want it back in the bad state it was before, not the state it's now, and they would be happy. And it is unfortunate by an ordinance, and I understand we have to uphold the law, and it is our own ordinance, 18 months. So 18 months and 1 hour, the person waits. Here's what they did. They built the first houses, then they waited till they got the pay, sold them, paid them, got that money, then they came back for others. So maybe 18 months and 1 day is, not the way to go. Maybe that's an ordinance that we have to look at instead of this other crazy stuff that we do with reinventing the wheel here, which we did tonight. So that's my opinion, and I'm just, only because I'm inundated with calls all the time. And the strange thing is, even people who bought the house of the new division, who moved there, that's what they're complaining about too. And so, I find it very humorous when, they're in the house, I want to help them, but, it was caused by the builder that built those houses, but c'est la vie.
C10. Do we have,
I'll move C10.
okay, moved by Mr. Merwin,
Second.
second by Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Peschitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes.
C18, Mr. Murphy.
Okay, I just have a couple, one question really. I'm looking at the wards in my street, and they've been talking about these half widths that they've been doing. I saw it on Southwood Drive and I think Marlborough Road, and they're asking me why. I think those were the gas company did it and stuff. Are these all the reason for that? Okay, that's why there's half widths? They were done by a gas company or something?
Project that was done or completed last year. For us to we're going back to some of the worst roads and then doing the other half of the width so that the investment that was made by PSE&G isn't lost. So we're then getting a fully paved road for half the price, basically.
Okay, was there some kind of agreement between the OBMUA and the town that they're each going to put in to pave half of some of the roads, each pay half? I thought that came up at a meeting one time.
That's in the Knollcroft area. That's not in this section.
That's just down there?
Yep.
Okay, now, the other question I have, when it says part Dobson Road to Oak Street, But is that whole width? And a couple of them say part to third.
Part
Are they
just,
whole widths, but part of the road?
no. Part just means not the entire length.
But
of
is
the
it the
road,
whole width?
But the whole width.
Okay,
yes.
that's all I want to know. Thank you. I'll make a motion.
Okay, anyone else before? Okay. Motion by Mr. Murphy, second by Mr. Merwin.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Cahill? Okay, I thought he had already left. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy? Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
C20, Mr. Merwin.
What is the additional work that's being done on the radio system?
The Allegiant is providing a consulting service for the radio projects. This is the closeout, the final. If you recall, about 2 months back, the request for about $20,000 was put on agenda and then was pulled because that seems excessive amount, and it was really high amount. And so this is, the consultant has been providing engineering services, analysis, and review in approving the actual radio implementation. And I believe this is the final payment, the closeout.
Third-party verification.
Yeah, they'll also verify the coverage issues with the radio frequencies.
Okay.
Are you
Okay.
with that, Mr. Merwin, or?
Anybody else? I'll move it if nobody else.
Yep, moved by Mr. Merwin. Do I have a second? I'll second.
I second it.
Debbie? Okay, Debbie.
Debbie?
Yep, Debbie.
Mr. Merwin and Mrs. Walker?
Mrs. Walker.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill? Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
C23, Dr. Greenberg Belli.
I just have a question. What is the compactor demolition used for?
Kyle?
The compactor's the back portion of a sanitation truck. I think it is C21 is the chassis portion of
that
the
on?
truck, and then
That on?
C23 will be the compactor, which is
Okay.
the garbage. Like if you look at
Okay,
a
so-
garbage truck, it's essentially
Okay.
the back part of a garbage truck.
All right, so when it was just a compaction, I didn't know what you were doing with that. Now I get it for it's a truck. Thank you for the explanation.
All right, anyone else a question on this? We have a motion,
Move it.
Second.
moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Merwin.
Merwin?
Yep, Mr. Merwin.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill? Dr. Greenberg? Mr.
Yes.
Merwin? Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
C25, Dr. Greenberg Belli.
I just had a question. What's the portion of that the school pays for any of this?
Part of our agreement for the equipment, they're going to be paying for the radio equipment. So not all of this entire amount is for that purposes, but there's
They use it for
significant
other
amount,
things.
yes.
Okay,
And
thank you.
you'll, next meeting on July 9th, we'll hope to have an agreement on the agenda for council approval. So there'll be information in there.
Shared service. Okay, thank you.
I just would like to limit the discussion on.
Yeah,
on
no,
all
I
this.
want, that's why I only limit, I just wanted to know what I didn't even have, that's why I'm trying to cut you off. Thank you for the explanation. I
Okay,
just
do,
wanted-
do we have a motion for C25?
Motion.
Okay, motion, Mr.
Second.
Rizzoli, second, Mrs. Walker.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
C26, Mr. Merwin.
Yes. What is this?
That's the new radio upgrade project that has been ongoing for the last 2 years. We're almost at the end of this contract completions. There's about $1,200 adjustment, although there's a number of change orders that has taken place. But I believe I think this is the final adjustment that we need to complete the project. And the radio system is already in place and it's been working.
So this is what? This is just tweaking what's there?
Beg your pardon?
What is this $1,200 for?
It's an amendment to the contract for additional services and equipment that we needed, modification that we needed, requested by, the consultants that review that, require some of the adjustments so that we have fully operational radio system.
Okay. All right, I'll move it.
Right.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Merwin, second by Mrs. Walker.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin? Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes.
C-28, Mr. Murphy.
This is for the engineer, I guess. Do you know what roads they're going to be detouring on? That
Mills Road.
They're going to be detouring on County Route 527, Spotswood English Town Road, and Texas Road. They are not permitted to be doing any work during any events at Raceway Park. They're not permitted to do any work while Texas Road is closed between 527 and Marlborough Road. They're not permitted to do any work while we're doing the resurfacing of Pleasant Valley Road, and their duration is only 3 weeks.
and when are they planning on starting?
They said mid-July, but I also let them know that I was planning to start on Pleasant Valley Road sometime in mid-July as well. So they're supposed to give us 10 days advance warning, and we're going to put any information that we have on our website, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Nixle as well.
Are they going to start this after you're completed with the other detouring on Texas Road, at least?
Well, Texas Road is scheduled to be completed by the beginning of July.
I know.
They're not permitted to work when that detour is in place.
Okay, so that'll be done before this one starts.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I make a motion.
Okay, motion by Mr. Murphy, second. Mr. Merwin.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin? Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
9 yes.
FR1, ordinances for first reading. Amending section number 185-6, local uniform fire code provisions E of the Code of the Township of Old Bridge.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg, second by Mrs. Walker.
Can I ask a
Miss-
question?
Mrs. Brown?
Wait, 1 minute.
Tommy Hart's going to be the fire inspector.
What's the problem? First reading.
I know.
Just so, my background, there was a letter from the fire marshal, I think, for Fire District 3. But basically, Fire District number 4 and number 3 have a shared services agreement, in which 3 provides it for 4. The state came in and said you have to update your code because of the shared service agreement. So that's why this ordinance is being moved.
Okay, so we had a motion and a second.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill? Yes. Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescetti?
No.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yes, 1 no.
FR2, amend table of organization ordinance for police department, increase 15 sergeants to 16 sergeants, as a result of the increase in school security.
Move it.
Move it. Oh, second.
Moved by Dr. Greenberg Belli, second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Abstain.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
8 yes, 1 abstention.
FR3, Proposed Ordinance 2015-14, changes to Chapter 160, Fees, Article 8 Daycare Program. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Moved by Mrs. Walker, second. I'll second it.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
No.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
No.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
7 yes, 2 no.
Discussion ordinances. DO1, ordinance amending Chapter 10 Traffic, Section 10-19-7B of the Code of the Township of Old Bridge, 1 Middlesex Boulevard, location Cliffwood Beach, New Jersey, 07735.
Madam Chairperson.
All right, that's,
Yeah, Mr. Berwin?
do you want to talk on that, Dave? Or
Yes.
do you want me to explain it?
No, I can.
Okay.
This is a gentleman that is wheelchair bound, and since his application, his wife has become wheelchair bound. And they have a exit out of their house, in the front of the house, that goes on to Middlesex Boulevard, that has a ramp that allows them to get out of the house to a gate. And people park in front of the gate, and he's not able to get out to his doctor's appointments and everything else. So application has been made to the police department for the handicap spot. It was approved, and hopefully we can pass this tonight so that we can remedy the situation as quick as we can.
We're going to move it up.
All right, so you want to move it up to first reading? Anyone else have any questions or comments about this item?
I mean, we've done this before. It seems like it's a reasonable request, and I'll be supporting it.
Yeah, I agree. Anyone have any questions or concerns? All right, so we'll take a motion to bring this to first reading.
Move it.
Move it.
Okay. Moved by Mr.
Merwin, and
Merwin,
second
by
by
Mr.
Rizzoli.
Rizzoli.
Okay, for first reading.
Yep.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Sohar?
Yes.
Nine yes.
I just want to be clear, I didn't have the information within which to draft the ordinance, so at the July 9th meeting, there'll be the actual ordinance for introduction.
First reading?
First
Yes,
reading?
I call it introduction.
All right, it's first reading, July 9th.
Well, no, we have after a second meeting, whenever the second meeting, is there a second meeting in July? I'm not sure what the schedule is.
Yeah.
So it'd be August. But we don't have the ordinance in front of us, Mr. Mayor. We had talked about it.
First reading, July 9th.
Okay, first reading will be July 9th. Second discussion, ordinance, an ordinance of the Township of Old Bridge, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, mandating direct deposit of net pay for all municipal employees and elected officials pursuant to NJSA 5214-15F ETSEQ.
Move it.
Okay, discussion, so we need to discuss it. Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Is this an opt-in program? Do people have to get to opt in, whether they
No,
want
it-
direct deposit or not?
Well, no, it will be, mandated basically to all employees to, be on direct deposit. All employee will be on direct deposit once this ordinance is approved.
And what's the advantage of
Opt-in
that?
is already there. We have a number of people participates in direct deposit program. The advantage, the cost of the processing of checks is about close to $2. So there is a tremendous amount of savings, and also bringing an efficiency. I think most corporations, major businesses, government agencies are now moved to direct deposit of payroll checks. Employee has, and our payroll services right now with employees' ability to have employee experience, product that allows them to look at their pay stubs for not just this year, last year's, and all the information online, including mobile platforms. So there is tremendous ability to do that. We cut down on printing papers. That there is a printing of checks cost. There's a stuffing, the payroll company does that charges us. There is a delivery charge. Then we have a distribution. We have to now monthly reconcile these checks as they clear. And also the benefit to employees that the funds are immediately available on the day, Friday, the payday. So, it's a benefit all over.
So what percentage now don't have direct deposit, would you say?
I believe we have about 25% participation or less than that.
25% that do direct
Right,
deposit.
right.
So most people want their check, is what you're saying to me.
Well, I think that yes, I mean, you could say that because they didn't think, some people just, feels that, they're not comfortable sometimes, but also some people just didn't take a time to provide the information and process that. But I think it's in the benefit of the town, which is important, roughly $15,000 to $20,000 annual savings in time and actual costs.
So
Most towns are now, this is the process to go through and adopting this.
But when you say there's, you don't get an envelope, right now, when you have direct deposit, you still get a copy of your check. It's a void, right?
With this change, there will be no, stubs or anything. Yeah, they'll have online access toward their informations, their payroll stubs.
So say, for example, your payday is Thursday. The check it gets into their account on Thursday?
We get the check delivered, I believe Wednesday, and then processed through, and then Thursday afternoon distributes for the actual check dates are Friday.
Dates on Friday. So if you gave someone, if it comes to the township on Wednesday, you distribute on Thursday. So if they went to the bank, say at 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 4:30 after work, their check would clear though, right?
The check generally doesn't clear for, they have like 48 hours to
Holding
clear.
period.
Right. So the check, they can deposit it, but I don't believe the funds are available. With direct deposit, funds will be available on Friday.
Okay. I have a question as well. Actually two.
Are you through, Ms.? Okay.
So, first question is, when will this take place? When's the start of this rollout? Can you?
Or
Please.
if the ordinance is introduced and adopted on July 9th, then probably first payroll in August is when we're going to implement.
Okay. And the other question is, it sounds like there's actually a lot of people, I'm actually surprised, sounds like there's a lot of people that aren't taking advantage of direct deposit now. Will there be some type of training to get people acclimated? Maybe that'll help people to realize how easy it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And it's a very easy
It
platform.
really is, yeah.
It's very easy platform, and certainly they'll get all the training from our HR department. And if we need, we can always bring in the payroll company to come in and go over that. We have done, when we implemented new payroll system, we have done that. So yes.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'd just like to add one thing. I think maybe sometimes when people don't do this, they're uncomfortable giving their bank number to someone, because you have to release bank information to have direct account. Now, I guess some people can open a separate account, but still, to some people, it's, that's why I asked if there was an opt-in, because maybe it's like a personal thing. They don't want to give up their information.
Well, I mean, I understand some hesitation. I can tell you that I've been using direct deposit probably over 25 years. And the bank account informations are readily available. It's not like it's not. There's a lot of places where you have direct debit payments that is being done. In this instance, though, we're depositing money. We're not withdrawing money. There is no access to the account. So I think that it's pretty safe. Actually, physical checks are becoming unsafe because they can be easily duplicated. Signature can easily be duplicated. So this is, at least my personal experience is safe environment.
Yes, yes. Go ahead.
So 25% of the people do not want to have a direct deposit?
25%.
25% right now partake of direct deposit.
So you're basically going to force them to take it. I mean, haven't we lost enough rights? I don't feel you can tell them, and what bank will they get put into? Any bank they want?
Yes.
Well, I don't know. I just don't feel that's right to take that right away from them. If they want to get their money and take it home with them, that should be their right. I don't think that's something we should take away.
Well,
and
all
I'm
I can
not for
tell
that.
you is that there's a significant savings that, by implementing this, and that's one of the reasons the state has passed the law.
To you, it's to you? I mean, to the township, not to you?
Yes, to the township.
Well, I still don't feel it's right to tell an employee, you must have a direct deposit.
Okay. I don't think.
Merwin, you had your hand up.
Mr. Shaw, far be it from me to tell you how to do your job,
Well, you will not refrain from that, so.
but I will not refrain from that. This is an easy, probably sell if you had gone to the employees first.
We have.
Well, then evidently,
There are-
they don't want it.
No, we have, I don't think it's necessarily, currently, I think we have a one union, a small union, I believe it's already in that. We're in the final stage of negotiation with another union, and they have no objection to that. So the only reason I brought forward is because we have, interest in it. It's not necessarily we don't have an interest.
Where do you have an interest? You have 25% participation. 3/4 of the people don't want it. I mean, this was a job that you guys should have sold to the employees before you brought it to us. If they come and tell us that they want it, well, then fine. But
Okay.
this
If
is
you
something
feel
that
that
should
the
have been
savings
done.
is
I
not
will not be,
important, okay.
I will not be supporting this, no. Thank you.
Anyone else on this side of the dais? On this side of the dais, Mr. Pasquini.
Go ahead.
Okay, you can.
I was going to put a motion to table till we get more information on it.
Second.
Motion to table?
For a discussion item? How do you table
Just,
this?
you don't have to table it, because it's only
Right.
discussion anyway. So, I mean, right, it's
Okay,
only
I understand.
discussion.
Thank you.
Well, we may have to table it, you know.
All right. Pescitti.
From my perception, almost the whole world is going direct deposit. Every job that I've ever had in the last 20 years was all direct deposit, and most of them mandate it. They didn't even allow you to take a check. And the direct deposit, once you get used to how it works, it's actually beneficial because the money goes right into your account. You can draw off it immediately. It's not like a check. When you take a check and you deposit it in your bank account, you have to wait till that clears. And sometimes that's 3 to 5 days, depending on what bank it's drawn on. So it's actually a benefit. And, to that point, yeah, I guess you have to sell it to the employees and of the town and show the benefits of it. But the two other things is the state is saying that we should do this. That's number one. And number two is it's tremendous savings for the town. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I just want to add one more thing, that it's not, it's, direct deposit can be not just a one account, they can deposit in they can choose multiple account. And the check will go in that, that money will go into the multiple account.
Mayor,
Mrs. Walker?
go ahead.
All right, let me.
My job, they mandated it also, and a lot of people, they were nervous about it, but once they did it, they were okay with it. But it is nice because you can go back, like Mr. Shaw said, and find your pay stubs, because if you throw them out, you can always go back years, and you could print out your pay stubs if you need them. I think once you get used to using it, you'll be happy with it. I think it's just nervous. And like Mr. Piscitti said, your money is available right then. It's available. And when you go to, if you want to just go to the bank, you could just take all the money out. It's just like cashing your check. It's no different. And it's going to save the town like $18,000. I think that's quite substantial.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
All right, we'll do Dr. Greenberg, Belli, and then you.
The area where it may be of benefit to employees, and they may not have thought about this, but being at council meetings over the past 20 years, there was times at the end of the year that I don't understand, like someone didn't cash their check, maybe they lost it, they didn't realize it or whatever. And then the money was gonna go back into the township. And this alleviates that. If it does go directly into your account, there's not gonna be any lost checks. And I think, as far as an accounting purpose, it does have the advantage that way. It's just that it's hard for people to change if they're used to doing it. So maybe from this time, if, you do a notice to employees, the benefits, maybe get feedback or whatever, and then you have to do what's, best. But I think that's the one thing that I said, that I saw over the years. There were so many times that checks weren't cashed, and at the end of the year, someone didn't even realize they didn't cash their check that time. You don't know what was going on in their life at that time, and it just slipped by. So I think that's one area of a positive thing, that it would alleviate that.
Yeah, I didn't even enumerate those, we didn't even consider calculating costs, because they lost their check, they want to replace that check. Now we have to go stop payment on those check that is lost, and, there's a tremendous amount of work involved, and we need to streamline the operation where we can. There is gonna be a group that is just not gonna be, things, but I think, one of the things I said 25%, but I don't have the actual data. That was something, there's probably even more participation than 25%. That's why HR recommended that we now implement this thing, so. But, our goal is to bring savings to the town, to you, and take an action accordingly.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to motion it, to move it. There's
No,
move?
there's no.
How about, can I move it to first reading? I want to move it to first reading.
No. No one else down?
I was waiting my turn patiently.
Yeah, that's what I said. Mr. Merwin. Yeah.
Why can't we move it up now?
That was the first time I heard a number, 18,000. Hamachu. That was the first time I heard a number, the 18,000. Is that a correct number?
It's about $2 a check.
For payroll.
And we issue about 400 checks, 300 to 400 checks, when you include part-times, full, employee. So you can just do math. There's 1,000 checks a month, $2, it's $1,200 a month. It's over $20,000. We already have some people participating, so that reduces that number, but that's the cost. You saying you don't believe?
We're only going to make $2 a check?
It costs $2.
Cost to issuing.
Oh, come on.
All the money we're spending, we're going to worry about $18,000 and take the people's choice away from them? That's wrong.
Choice you make, and you decide if you want to save taxpayers' money or not. But, to say that it's not the number.
Well, in my world,
Other ways to save
$18,000
taxpayers'
is a
money,
lot of
too.
money.
Not get ourselves ahead here.
That's a lot of
All
money.
right, so.
Can I move it to first reading?
Before we get into the vote, maybe you would like to take it back to your employees, sell it to us, and bring it to us, and and we all have no problem.
That's what I say. Can I move
Okay,
it to first
so-
reading?
You think that'd work out? You know.
Are we?
Can we
have a
just have it for
motion?
first reading and everybody can decide? We'll make
Okay.
it, move it to first
Mr.
reading.
Pescetti, you've made a motion
Yes,
to
I
move
have.
it to first reading?
Second.
And Mrs. Walker seconded.
Okay.
Who moved it?
Moved by Mr. Pescetti, second by Mrs. Walker to move it to first reading.
So that you'll be moving it for first reading for introduction at tonight's meeting, and the public hearing will be on July 9th.
All right, do we?
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
No.
Mr. Murphy?
No.
Mr. Pescetti?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
No.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar?
Yes, for first reading.
7 yes, I'm sorry, 6 yes, 3 no.
All right, next is public comments on any subject matter. Does anyone from the public wish to be heard?
Hello, Andy
Good evening.
Gennaro, 303 Relham Drive. I'm here to talk about the rental board and I believe a conflict of interest. If someone is on it who manages 3 apartment units in this town, and you need to call the Board of Health to have mold remediated from an apartment that she manages. I'm speaking of my own home residence, and I've had Mr. Soriano from the health department here in town inside of my apartment at Madison Arms in order to get mold correctly remediated more than once from my apartment. There was a leak upstairs in the bathroom of my upstairs neighbors who, when they moved in, they get a pre-inspection, and they said, there's a crack by the faucet. Oh, we'll fix it before you move in. It was never fixed. Now my bathroom has been apart since Memorial Day. That's when this has started. This is where the source of the other mold that was not properly remediated the last time I had Mr. Soriano in my apartment. I have not had the quiet enjoyment of my home since Memorial Day. I will not be able to have my granddaughter and my daughter-in-law down to watch my son graduate from Old Bridge High School on July 25th with honors. And there is more than one reason I'd like to have my granddaughter down to see my great-grandparents now. Thank you very much. To see her great-grandparents now. Thank you.
Then what can we do to get that done?
Okay. Anyone else from?
What can we do to help her?
Oh, Gina Talamo.
All right, what was that? I guess.
Nina Jochnowitz. By the way, Anita, the fella was in the room adjacent to my father at the hospital for the last 2 weeks that you spoke of, the motorcycle accident. So I saw his parents on a daily basis in ICU and then in the step-down area. The young man you were speaking about on 34? That's first. But actually, more important, Hamacho, if you want to get the kids the 700, what is that, 1,000 checks
Excuse me.
you issue a month?
Excuse me, you have to direct the comments
Oh.
this way, not to the administration.
Okay, basically, you could open up a Chase account. I'll direct it to the council, and you get $500 for direct deposit if you open up both a checking and a savings. It may be a marketing thing that the council could bring to the business director as part of his plan to get the 75% of the people who are not yet enrolled. There are other banks that do that as well. But I do agree with Mr. Murphy that I don't think it should be a requirement.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to be heard?
Hi, Mary. This is John Milner. I was here some time ago.
Yes.
And I gave you a file about the police and asking you to look into the overtime situation. I was hoping you can get back to me on that.
Myself personally, you wanted me to get back to you on that. I had directed it to the administration, and at this point in time, I really don't have the ability to discuss that with you.
Okay, I'd like to direct everyone's attention to the June 8th Star Ledger. It's about the Woodbridge Police, or Edison Police, and 5 of them being caught in a payroll scam. And I hope that that's not going on here, but I'm quite certain that it is.
My goodness, that's a serious accusation.
It is. We have about 80 patrolmen hired full-time. Is that correct? At any given time, we have about 4.
We have 95 sworn officers. That includes chief of police to captain, lieutenant, sergeant.
The number's down
and
to
patrol.
95? Thank you. It was up to like 120 about 10 years ago. It's a hard number to pin down. Thank you. That's 95 total? Enlisted ranks of sergeant and below, we have about how many? 70? Approximately?
Yeah,
Would that be
yeah.
about 70 if we take into account
I'd
the
rather us
officers,
not be
everyone else?
discussing our manpower numbers in public for obvious reasons.
80? Okay, okay. What's the obvious reason, sir?
Safety.
Security, safety.
Your safety or mine?
Everybody's
Everyone.
safety.
Everyone.
And let me get into the thing you made
Okay.
reference to that was off-duty, an off-duty investigation that was conducted over a period of time.
We can talk about starting salaries. This is stuff that's publicly known, about $43,000 per patrolman. That's about right?
No, we're
That's
not,
not right.
this really, and no disrespect to you, but this really is not a question and answer period.
Well,
You
I
can
know
make
that
your
that is
comments.
definitely the starting salary, and we have about 80 patrolmen on the road. We need about 20 patrolmen on the road. So we have about 80 patrolmen earning a base pay of $43,000, and they're bringing home over $100,000. And I'd like to know what the overtime amount is for this pay period. Was that discussed?
Yeah, the amount was
earlier?
discussed at when we did our bill listing.
Well, the bill list doesn't include individual amount, but our website under the HR, you can see the annual earnings report, which is what we're required to post, and that includes all earnings that employee has.
Yes,
It's a
I
gross-
downloaded that, and that's where I got my numbers from. Everyone's earning over $100,000. They're all patrolmen, virtually, and their base pay is somewhere below $50,000. So it's all coming from overtime, and it's stuff that's approved every week, and I'd like to find out why it's going on. It's continuing to this day. Who's responsible for checking the overtime, Mary?
As far as paying it, improving the payment of it,
Once it's submitted by the captain?
it's
Police
done
Depart-
through
I
police
can-
administration.
Police department,
Right.
they have an administrative bureau that reviews all the overtime from, from the desk sergeant to the administrative bureau checks it.
Right.
HR then reviews that and then processes the time. Now, keep in mind, officers also works off-duty hours, which is covered by the outside contractor. It is not, funded to the taxpayers, the outside contractor. That includes in the report. So, that can, they work a lot of hours. We have fine police department that works a lot of hours. The salaries are negotiated. Their salary is posted on PERC's website, so that's available. All the information that you're asking for is on the website.
Yeah, Mary, I'd like to know what the big crisis is if we have to hire 80 patrolmen to do the job of 20 patrolmen, and we're paying them 2.5 times their salary.
We really, this is, like I said, it's not a question and answer period. You can make your comments, how you feel about
So
things.
you submitted my complaint to the mayor and for review. And
No,
is there any
had
conclusion
gotten
about that?
I had gone over it, but again, there's certain things that I really can't discuss as we spoke about before.
Well,
So
that's why we're here in an open committee. Can we have
we are limited in what we can discuss as well. And as I said, this is more of a period where the public comes up and gives us their opinion rather than us doing a back and forth.
Well, you're our representatives. I hope that
But we're
you can
listening.
help us.
We're
Yeah.
listening.
That's all I have for now, but I'd like the public to be aware of this great scam that's going on, and you have to stop it immediately. We're tired of paying the high taxes.
Okay, well, you're
Usually speak up when somebody's in public speak.
Is this Brian? Brian, hi, do you check the overtime?
Appreciate the inference that you're casting on the Old Bridge Police Department.
Please,
I'm sorry, you said, I'm going to speak now.
put me down with the truth. That's your.
Everything you asked for is publicly available, and you're inferring that there's something going on. I don't appreciate it as an elected official. I'm telling you right now, I don't appreciate it.
I concur. You have no evidence of any wrongdoing. You shouldn't be coming up here making accusations like
I
that.
have a picture
Okay,
here.
that's
All right, this is-
I have a picture
that's
here.
Edison, New Jersey. It's not Old Bridge. My name's Mark Rizzoli. That's
You a former policeman? by
yes,
the
I
way?
am.
Mark, his time is done.
Do you know
I deal in
anything about
fact,
this
not
community
fiction.
work?
I deal in fact, not fiction.
How long have you been living
Mr.
here?
Shaw, I have a question
Please,
for you, real
again,
quick.
gentlemen.
When you posted that annual report, wasn't that combined base salary and overtime rate?
All earnings. That
Okay.
report includes all earnings.
The administrative fee that is charged to the outside contractors, isn't that used to purchase police vehicles?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. I will end the comments just by saying I think the entire board, we all feel the same as far as how we feel about our police department and the role they play in the job that they do.
I'll give
That
you all
is-
the facts,
that's
Mayor.
just.
I want you to know I was at the Attorney General's office today, and they told me that I need to speak to you in order to have this resolved.
Time is up. He has to sit down.
Please have a seat. Thank you.
Okay,
All right.
we're up to the appointments now.
Anyone else from the public wish to be heard this evening? I will close the public comments. We'll now go to appointments. Okay. First one is A1 Recreation Advisory Board Committee, unexpired term, expires 12/31/2019.
I nominate Brian Burns.
Second.
Okay, then Dr. Greenberg nominated Brian Burns,
Burn.
and Mrs. Walker seconded.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
Next is A2 Recreation Advisory Board Committee, unexpired term, expires 12/31/2019.
Madam President?
Yes,
I
Mr.
nominate Tom
Rizzoli.
Galante.
I second
Okay,
it. Second.
that's Mr. Gallanti. It was Mr. Rizzoli and Dr. Greenberg Belli. Roll call, please.
Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes.
Next will be our liquor license renewals. Can we?
Yes, they could take them on
So-
all together.
So if there's
Yes.
conditions, I'd like to move the balance.
Yes.
No conditions.
No
Second.
conditions? Okay. Moved by Mr. Cahill.
Second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Rizzoli.
Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Pescitty?
Yes.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soha?
Yes.
9 yes, thank you.
Thank you. Next will be executive session.
Thank you, Madam President. Actually, the agenda, it's not contract negotiations, it's litigation matter, OB 10 First Township of Old Bridge.
Litigation.
Status update. So a resolution to adjourn to go into executive session for purpose of discussing that particular matter.
We have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, motion.
Point of order.
From who?
Madam,
Bello.
point of order.
Yes.
I will not be participating in the executive session. And you will not be coming out and taking any action, is that correct, Mr.
That's
Attorney?
that's correct.
Yes.
That's what we're
Oh,
adjourned.
why don't we do our council member comments now?
Council comments, so I'll start with Mr. Merwin.
Mr. Shah, just for my recollection, could you tell me what a starting salary is for a police officer in Old Bridge?
I believe when they are in academy, they're $30,000.
30. That's about
And then after, I believe, 1 year or year 2, there is a step, and our new guide of steps is about 15 steps to get to the top steps.
Right, so it's 30,000 or less, isn't it, that they're starting at?
That's
Right in that general
while they're in
neighborhood. That's about
academy. yeah.
13,000 less than that was alleged, right?
Right.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Merwin, or anyone else? Council comments? Okay, so then we will,
Roll call on the motion to go
Right.
executive.
Okay. Roll call. I'm sorry, Mrs. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Merwin?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Piscatty?
off days.
Off days.
Mr. Rizzoli?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Soho?
Yes.
8 yes to go into executive. So we won't be coming back.